Hey guys, it's Aaron Miller with the Hunting Principles again with my next video in my series on the gear that I'm using, the gear that I use on a daily basis when I go hunting or at least throughout this year. Tonight I'm going to talk a little bit about my saddle. If you watch my unboxing review of my trophy line, this is not going to be a review of the saddle per se, more of just kind of a general overview of the equipment that I use and why. Hey guys, it's Aaron Miller with the Hunting Principles here again, just to give you my next gear review. And if you've watched my last couple videos, you saw that my first gear review is my bow, the setup that I use and why. The next video that you saw was my sticks, my XOP short sticks that I use and why. Tonight we're gonna hit my saddle and my saddle system real quick. It's not going to be a product review. I don't want you guys to think that I'm reviewing the saddle, good and bad, pros and cons, just a little bit of why I'm doing what I'm doing. To give you a little background, I've probably done about a dozen sits this year, maybe give or take one or two. But for the most part, I've probably done about 11 or 12 sits this year. Not quite as many as I would like to do with the school, the breaks, the requirements, the game duties, all those different things happening this year. I did not get as many sits in as I would like, and with school being one of those things that there may be days I can slide out after school. Weekends obviously are free, but weather's not always cooperative. The winds are not always right. And so not as many sits as I would have liked to have done this year. We've still got a couple weeks left here in Missouri, and I do plan on trying to get out some more. I'm looking at this Friday or Saturday, trying to get out and doing a sit. At some point, weather permitting, we're getting a lot of rain and possibly some ice tonight. So it's been kind of difficult to get things going over the last couple of days. Tomorrow's New Year's, so going to be celebrating with friends. With that being said, that's part of the reason why this saddle system is why I use this particular system, is getting out there and hanging preset stands, drilling and tapping steps into trees, or hanging steps and strapping them to trees. That all costs money. It takes time. These are things that I don't necessarily have a lot of. And so with me getting a deal on the sticks through Hunter's Trust Reviews, I was able to get a mobile system to go along with this saddle, which makes it a lot easier for me to get out in the woods and hunt and enjoy what I love to do, which is to go hunting. So just a quick overview of the saddle and the products that I use. I just wanted to give you guys a glimpse of what it is. And if you are a budget-minded person, if you are a hunter just out there doing their thing and trying to figure out ways that'll work for you, these may or may not work for you, I don't know. But for me, who has very limited time, very limited expendable cash, things that I can save up for in a relative short amount of time that give me the opportunity to do what I love to do. The saddle is a trophy line, Ambush Light. I did a product review on that when I did the unboxing. This saddle I got into for about $145. And to go over the stuff that's on my saddle and why is to just give you a quick overview of the different pieces and where they come from. But again, this saddle gives me the opportunity to get out and hunt. Quick, easy, into a tree, set up, hunt for a couple of hours, come back in or do what I need to do. And I would venture to say that out of this saddle this year, I've probably done 10 or 11 of the 12 hunts out of the saddle. I know of at least 2 sits that I did in my XOP stand, but for the most part, I've been hunting out of my saddle this year. And just to give you a quick run around of the saddle, on this side I have my lineman's belt, and I'll show you my tether here in just a little bit. They're both basically the same company. I ordered them off Amazon, and I believe these were the either Gorilla brand or the Muddy, basically safety tethers, the 8-foot tethers that came with the prusik knot. I took these and used these as my lineman's belt and my tether, and I will show you why I use those and what I have on them. But this I just have girth hitched to my saddle so that it is always on there. Keep it in my pouch with its carabiner and attaching it back and forth to my saddle, going up and down the tree as needed. it's right there with me. The other pouch that I have is also from Tether, and in this pouch I just carry a few extra things that if all I wanted to do was grab my saddle and go hunting, I could. So I've got my wind indicator in here, I've got a folding saw in here to get up and down the tree, I've got my range finder in here, and a lot of times I will put my release in here as well. That way if I grab my bow, I can just go with this saddle and I'm set. The other thing that I have on this saddle is a couple of additions that I got off Amazon, and I'll put the links in my description below, but these are just dump pouches that I got off Amazon. I think they were about 14 bucks for the set, and they work really well. In fact, I keep my Tether in here, and I could actually put other things in here if I needed to. And then this is just an accessory pouch where I have my bowstring, some one-step aiders if I need them, some other little pieces that I keep in here for hunting at the bottom, some screw-in steps or screw-in hangers and things like that if I'm not on public land. Just some easy things there that I can carry on this saddle. I have a couple of homemade loops that I just made out of some heavy-duty cordage that I can hang my steps on when I go up the tree. So I hang my first step, I put the other two in these loops, one on the other side as well, and that way I can get up, get my lineman's belt set, and then hang my next set of steps, go up even higher, and then I've got my other loop on my other side where my other step goes. Pretty simple setup, nothing real fancy, nothing real crazy, pretty simple all the way around. I put this on when I get out of the truck, I walk into the stand, I climb up, I hang in it, I come back down, walk back to the truck, take it off. Very simple setup, very easy. And when you see my next video, I'm going to be talking about my platform as well as my XOP stand, and those being the two pieces that I use in the woods. And you'll see that this system is a very quick, easy system to carry and use. Now, real quick, my last piece that I wanted to show you that I use on my Tether, or is my Tether, and how I use that. My lineman's belt and my Tether both have a ascender, well, I wouldn't even call it an ascender, basically a safety mechanism, much like a ropeman, except this is from Amazon. It is a cheaper version of a ropeman, and I have done a lot of testing in my front yard with this, a couple feet off the ground, jumping and pulling against this particular mechanism to make sure it doesn't slip or fail. The short of falling a long distance and then catching, but I have fallen off my steps and done things to check to make sure that this ascender slash stop is adequate enough for my body weight and this rope to be safe. Again, I don't recommend any pieces or DIY or anything like that. As I said on my steps, I do a rope mod on my steps. I chose to do that. If someone else thinks that that's unsafe and they choose not to, that's their decision. In no way, shape, or form do I say that these are the only ways to go or the safest way to go. This is just what I choose. The reason I went to this is I didn't have the money for a ropeman at the time, and the pressing knots were not as smooth as I would have liked them to be, especially on my lineman's belt. They were very difficult to manipulate, even with a pressing tender. It was not as smooth operating and quick moving up and down the tree as I would have liked. And so I went with this rock climbing safety stop that I can use going up and down the tree, much like you would a ropeman. If you press the button, you can slide it up and down. If you are going forward, you can move it. And then when you get to a place, you have the safety stop. So has worked very well the last couple of times I've been out. I've used these, probably the last 3 sits. I've never felt unsafe with them. They seem to work very, very well. And these are just the heavy duty carabiners that came with the safety lines. They lock on, and then you can screw these up to make sure they're safety latched. And that's what I use there. Now I do something that some people I've seen on YouTube doing. Some people may not agree with this system. But instead of using a girth hitch to go around the tree and having to slide my rope in and out of every time I go up the tree, I use a safety carabiner, a heavy duty carabiner that is self-locking, so that when I go around the tree and I lock this around my rope, it automatically locks and will not open again until I'm trying to manipulate it and take it off the tree. I find it to slip a little bit. I've not put any gear ties or anything on it to keep it from slipping, and that might help. But I've just started doing this year, and I've found it's a lot quicker going in and out of the tree, as well as going around branches. If I need to use a second line going up a tree, I can pull this out of my pouch, hook it to my lineman's belt loops on my saddle and keep going. Whereas before you would have had to girth hitch this back and forth and all that stuff. So I found this to work very well. I will probably look at using a gear tie of some sort to keep it from slipping in the future. But the last couple sits, I've really been able to get in and out of the tree quickly, smoothly, without a lot of noise and without a lot of problems. So that is my basic system. My tether goes on the side in the little dump pouch that I bought off Amazon. I don't even really have to spend a lot of time trying to roll it up. I just kind of bowl it up, very quick and easy, slide it in. When I get up to the tree, pull it out, put it on. But this system is what I use to go hunting on a regular basis. It's my go-to right now. And I'm hoping that when I show you my platforms, you can see why. I do have plans to kind of upgrade that a little bit this year, and I'll talk about that in my video about the platforms. But this particular system and climbing system that I have here, I'm pretty happy with, and that is probably the system I will be using for the next several years, or at least foreseeable future. And hey, you never know. Saddle hunting has become very popular. For me, it has given me a lot of freedom to go and hunt as quickly as possible and as much as possible when I am free from work. And so that was one of the reasons I went with this particular system. Hope you guys will stay tuned and hit subscribe down below. Follow along, because my next video will be talking about my platforms. I have an out on the limb platform. I also have my XOP stand, and I'm going to talk about why and how I use those. I hope you guys will join me for that video. Take it easy and enjoy what's left of season.